Truckers of Reddit, what spooky things did you witness on the road? What lengths have you went to keep up a lie? What is illegal but morally right to do? This feels like a loaded question. Piracy of old and or unavailable stuff. While I'm not telling you to go pirate things, I will say I engage in a bit of swashbuckling myself, giving people in hours-long lines water when they want to vote. I'm sorry, that's illegal? Since when? Stopping the police from beating someone. Yes, 100%. Police should be held accountable. Breaking NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, especially in cases for the greater good. I assume you mean along the lines of like whistleblowing, which, yeah, holding a police officer accountable for breaking the law. I'm not anti-cop, but I'm not an idiot. One of the sacrifices a lot of them make is their own innocence. Flashing your headlights to oncoming traffic to warn them that a speed trap is ahead. Is that what that person did to me the other day, or were they just being a jerk? Putting quarters in parking meters so other people's cars don't get ticketed. Stopping in the middle of the road for a crossing family of ducks. If anything, the ducks are doing the illegal thing here. Jaywalking, not even at a duck crossing sign? Come on. Which comedian has the best stand-up shows? Really digging Mark Normand. Oh boy, I'm not gonna know any of these people, am I? Super underrated comedian I haven't seen mentioned yet is Gary Gulman. I'm partial to Tom Segura and Nate Bargatze. Bargatze? It used to be Mitch Hedberg. It still is, but it used to be too. Dave Attell is pretty underrated, IMO. Bill Burr kills. I still think my favorite thing Bill Burr did recently is when he was on Joe Rogan and called him a knuckle-dragging ape. Like, it's just perfect. Billy Connolly. I've seen Billy live a couple of times, and he is by far the most adept storyteller I've ever seen. He manages to sidetrack himself, crack an unrelated joke, which causes another sidetrack, making funny anecdotes at every turn without ever completely losing where he is. Always funny, and somehow it all makes sense and fits together. He's a naturally funny man who's worked for years to perfect the art of being funny on stage, and it really shows. George Carlin. May he rest ever in peace. What does everyone criticize but still do anyway? Judging people. It is funny how that works. People judge people for judging people. It's kind of like, doesn't that cancel out? Talking bad about people. Complain about how dumb everyone is getting and then do nothing to promote good learning habits at home. Parents bear some responsibility for their child's learning. Stop dumping it all on teachers and the government. Being stingy with money. I love charity in concept, but having people walking up to me asking for small amounts of money annoys me so much more than it really should. Falling prey to groupthink. Mob mentality is really hard to recognize when you are, a part of the mob. People criticizing Nestle yet still buy Nestle, me included. Well, you see, the one way to fix that is to stop buying Nestle products. Social media in general. Twitter is a hellhole, but still the best way of following people whose work I enjoy. TikTok is a waste of time, but it gives me an endless supply of cute animal videos. Reddit is Reddit. I hate them all, but keep going back for more. It is the curse because it really just gives you that instant dopamine that you need at the time, but it's so fleeting. You get offered $100 an hour to watch any movie on repeat. Which movie do you choose? Probably Everything Everywhere All at Once. I can deal with the crying as many times as possible because it's just fun. It doesn't really matter. After a dozen back-to-back watches, you're not going to be enjoying anything. With that in mind, I'm going with Shrek because the meme potential of being able to recite the entire movie word for word would be pretty good. Mulholland Drive, maybe. Watching it 1,000 times will give up some of the mysteries of that effing thing. Groundhog Day. I feel like this is the only acceptable answer, LOL. It's definitely the most appropriate. Can I just watch Lawrence of Arabia twice a day? Permission to select the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy? Alright, but if you're doing it, you have to do the extended director's cut. You can't do the standard. A goofy movie. You know what? Yeah, I can watch this enough. Fifth Element. Still need to get around to it because I love the aesthetic in every picture I've seen of it. What's a celebrity with absolutely zero controversy? Sean Astin, my fave. Weird Al Yankovic. Decades-long career so devoid of controversy that they actually made some up for the faux biopic Weird, starring Daniel Radcliffe. I mean, he's just so nice and whimsical. How can he have controversy? Steve Carell. I really haven't ever heard anything about Steve Carell. Dolly. She's had to have had something, right? David Attenborough. Long live the king of nature. His only controversy is when he he's gonna retire, lol. He'll never retire. Not truly. He knows his work is too important. Jack Black. You can really tell when a celebrity knows to just stay in their lane. Aubrey Plaza. I mean, she might have killed someone, but who cares, right? Who's the most famous person you've ever met? Oh god, I met Rob Dyrdek once before ridiculousness was his main thing, and that was cool, I guess. Daniel Radcliffe worked out at my university's rec center for about a month because his girlfriend used to work at the rec back in her college days. They were in town visiting her family. Carol Burnett. I even asked her to do the Tarzan yell, and she did. Bruce Dickinson, lead singer of Iron Maiden, had breakfast in a hotel with Snoop Dogg for some business deal back then. I met Carrie Fisher at Comic-Con once. She gave me a big hug and I told her I loved her. She said, I know. I got to pet her dog. Ringo Starr. He and his wife were my passengers on a flight many years ago. They were both awesome. George Clooney. I pissed him off by telling him I loved him as Batman, which is why I did it. Nicolas Cage at Downtown Disney when I was like 10 or so. I only recognized him because for whatever reason I had and seen Gone in 60 Seconds a bunch of times. What app you will never install? I would suggest OP get Grammarly, but I don't think they will. Any game that has annoying 30-second ads that then have a fake close button or make you wait before you can close it. Raid Shadow Legends, I'm looking at you. And you know, speaking of Raid Shadow Legends, we are not sponsored, so I'm not doing an ad read. TikTok came here just to answer this. The only answer. Instagram. I used it for a bit. One day I do a search for a very unique item on my browser. Then later that morning, my significant other in another city texts me saying she got a strange ad for something that she'd never buy and seemed of to her. It was what I had searched for. She didn't have Instagram, but instead had Facebook, who owns Instagram. They share everything. TikTok. Is there a clock somewhere? Like, I just keep hearing this sound. Raid Shadow Legends. Real. But bro, with our promo code, you get 500 gold and a free champion. Again, not sponsored. You're safe for now. But Reddit. Wait a minute. This one is a bit suspicious. Well, hey, maybe they're just using it on desktop. You never know. Twitter. I love watching it from a distance. What is the absolute best concert you've ever been to? Jimi Hendrix, John Mayall, and Albert King at the Hinterland Auditorium in SF on February 2nd, 1968, on my first date with my husband. Alright, honestly, you just win. You win the question. Queen with Thin Lizzy opening, 1978. My stupid brain read that as Thin Lizzo, and I was like, that's a little rude. Like, what? Pink Floyd, The Wall. Third night at Earl's Court, either late 1979 or early 1980. I was 12, lol. Simon and Garfunkel free concert in Central Park, 1981. Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon tour. God, all of these are actually really good. I wish. Florence and the Machine, closest I've ever gotten to a religious experience. Fleetwood Mac and U2. Michael Jackson was pretty amazing too. Damian Marley, Rockin' Roma, Rome, Italy, 2015. Absolutely effing amazing. Non-Brazilians, when you think of Brazil, what comes to your mind? Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, football. Ronaldinho made me a Barca fan. Haven't looked back ever since. Also, the culture of dance and carnivals. I find it very lively. Nuts. Why would... Oh, the Brazil nut. Yeah, okay. A Brazilian wax, TBH. My cousin's wife is Brazilian, and she's one of my favorite people to see at family get-togethers. She's hilarious. Samba. Venga Boys. Hang on, the Venga Boys are Brazilian? That's like really weird to find out. I don't know why. Anyone like being an adult? What's good about it? This question is not doing good things for my recent existentialism. I can eat ice cream whenever I goddamn feel like it, Mom. I go to bed early because I want to. Weirdly, I felt that. I've been trying to sleep earlier. People taking you more seriously and also not having to rely on other people anymore. If you view it in terms of what an adult wants, being an adult can be wearying. But if you view it in terms of what a child would want, being an adult rocks. I can eat candy and watch R-rated movies whenever I want. I can jump on the bed, I can see naked ladies and touch their pieces. I can drive my car fast on country roads, playing the music loud and shouting swears. When you frame it like that, yeah, it's a little fun. I like having power over my own body. Well, unfortunately, due to some legislation, that might be taken away. I can eat dessert for breakfast and breakfast for dessert. If it were up to me, and it kind of is, I could eat breakfast for every meal of the day. One time I went to CVS for shampoo and realized I could also buy candy and stickers just because I could. It really is the little things that bring you joy. If you want to leave somewhere, you just walk to your car and drive off. I have done this many times. Which soup is the most superior? I I see what you did there, you silly little goose. Tomato soup with some grilled cheese. I have been craving this combo for so long and I've been let down every time I try. French onion. I haven't had enough of it in my lifetime to really have an opinion. Clam chowder is my personal favorite. If it's in a bread bowl, then it's in my stomach. Pho. Haven't found any that I'm super fond of, but I'm not against it. Chicken and dumpling soup. Potato and leek. Gonna be true to myself because f*** the haters. I love mushroom soup. I like a good chicken and coconut soup, honestly. The taste is euphoric. Does pho or ramen count as soup? Well, as we already kind of considered pho, then yeah, ramen fits in. What is something you did as a child that you never quite grew out of? When I'm sick, I want to make a blanket fort and watch Kablam. The only difference is now I'm in my 30s and nobody can stop me. Enjoying toys and building with things like Legos. Legos are for people of all ages. Collecting little trinkets. I love having little porcelain animals or cool rocks or stickers to decorate my space. And now I can put things all over my whole apartment instead of just my room. Pulling the covers over my head and pretending that it's a protective shield. I'm 64. Hey, you're never too old to try and feel safe. Laying over a heating vent under a blanket to trap all the heat. Heat. Hiding in my room, reading a book and drinking tea. I was basically born a 70-year-old grandma. Thumb sucking. Alright, depending on your age, I might have some problems with that. What makes you hate a kid? A lot of reasons. If they knowingly harm animals. I think if it's like a one-time thing, it was curiosity. If it's continued behavior, that's scary. The parents. You can tell a lot about a kid by seeing how their parents act. Tantrums, crying, when they don't listen, when they are disrespectful, when they hurt animals, when they make a lot of noise, when they are gross. I mean, that pretty much just sums up children in general. I don't hate the kid, but he hits and taunts my daughter. They are both 5 and he smiles while doing it because he knows his mom won't punish him. She blatantly tells everyone he is her favorite and it shows in every way imaginable. So really, I think a lot of it has to do with the child's parents. As they get older and their personalities really come out, then my mindset changes some on that. But as an early childhood educator, I definitely lean on the parents being at fault most of the time on why children are the way they are. That obvious but still hard to notice, I think you are a peasant kind of attitude. Kids really do have that attitude sometimes, like, and where does it come from? For me, it's if they are incredibly disgusting. I know most kids will be to some degree, but if they sneeze in your face or wipe boogers on you, then that's pretty much the line. Kicking the back of my seat on a plane or in a cinema. Bonus points if their parents are sitting right behind their kid and saying and doing nothing. When they scream. Sometimes I'll see a kid and think, aw, they're kinda cute. But as soon as they open their mouth and do that whistle register shriek, I want to drop kick their little ass. I don't like screaming in general, but kids' screams are just the worst. I love my children. I think your children are obnoxious hell beasts. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. What is your best joke that gets a laugh every time? Rick Astley will let you borrow any movie from his Pixar collection, except one. He's never gonna give you Up. It's so corny. It's so, but like you can't not like it. What do you call an alligator wearing a vest? An investigator. How many psychiatrists does it take to change a light bulb? Only one. But the light bulb has to want to change. My friends are all mentally ill. How does Harry Potter get down a hill? Walking. JK, rolling. What's the best part about living in Switzerland? I don't know, but the flag is a big plus. What do you call a psychic little person who escaped from prison? A small medium at large. What's the difference between a hippo and a Zippo? One's real heavy and the other is a little lighter. What's blue but not very heavy? Light blue. Oh, I'd hate this one in real life. Never say this to me. Have you heard the joke about the butter? Oh, well, I butter not tell you. You might spread it. This is a tricky joke to tell right because there's a decent margarine for error. What do you call an unfunny joke? This entire thread. Oh my god, you got him. What band from the 90s still puts out bangers? Daft Punk until recently. We can all hope and dream that they'll come back, but it's not very likely. De La Soul. I know technically they started in the late 1980s. You know them from Feel Good Inc., but their catalog is very deep and there are so many gems in there. Live shows are amazing. As a former prison employee, You Don't Want a BDS is top 5 favorite song. Deftones. Foo Fighters. It is a little strange how big Everlong is getting recently. Offspring and Green Day. Has Green Day put anything out recently? I at least haven't heard of it. Weezer puts out a couple good songs every other album. You just gotta sift through a lot of the filler that Rivers puts out in his sleep. That SNL skit summed up perfectly what it's like to be be a Weezer fan. Red Hot Chili Peppers, Smashing Pumpkins, Nickelback. Come on, he didn't deserve downvotes. He's just a super fan. What is the advantage of dating you? I will spoil this person as good as a poor man can. Cook meals, and the beer is on me, because this person deserves it. I don't have the self-confidence to date you, let alone start a relationship with someone else. I am incapable of cheating. My wife told me that my looks got her interested, but it was the direct deposit and health benefits that pushed her over the edge. In this economy, I can't blame her. I make a delicious lasagna. Garfield has entered the chat. Apparently, I'm too nice. I've been told that by many friends. I have no idea how to take that. I make enough that you wouldn't have to work, and because I'm away all the time, you could have your side piece. You know, I can't think of one. LOL. It is a pretty tough question. I don't blame you.
I'm small. I'm baby. You can yeet me out the window whenever you're mad. I'm also the most clingy person on earth, so be sure I will not cheat.
Probably my ass and my money. Plus, I'm funny. What are things you are passionate about that no one in your social circle likes? Formula 1, Survivor. I'm definitely not up to date on the Survivor lore, but it's fun enough. Playing music in an orchestra. Ancient history. Well, yeah, cause that's for nerds, duh. I'm kidding, it's cool to be interested in that. I really love hiking, but sadly none of my friends want to go with me, and I have a fear of being murdered alone in the woods, so I haven't gone in such a long time. Movies. People here like movies, but apparently not as much as me. Taylor Swift and My Chemical Romance. Interesting combination there. All of the Real Housewives franchises. Damn, good for you. It's a lot. Mindfulness practice. I don't think I've ever heard of that. You'd need to give an explanation there, pal. Drag race / drag queens. Slay. Weird response, OP. What are you doing? What's a deal breaker for you at restaurants? If the table is sticky and it gets stickier after they wipe it. That is kind of gross and weird. Like, even though it might still be clean, it's just uncomfy. Loud music. I've been in restaurants before where I can't hear myself think, let alone hear people opposite me talk. Edit. Comments were irritating me, so I amended. If you go to a Mexican / Tex-Mex spot and the chips and salsa are terrible, just pack it up and leave. Nothing will get better. Tables packed closely together to the point where you might as well just be sitting with the strangers next to you. The smell when you walk in. If you can smell sewage, mold, or excessive bleach or ammonia when you walk in over the food, turn around. No prices on the menu. If I'm going to spend money, I want to know how much I'm going to spend. Just tell me the steak is $40 for F's sake. Owners being rude to staff in front of guests. Yeah, that's generally a sign that the place is run horribly and shouldn't be given money. Ever walk on a floor mopped with sugary water? Yeah, that stickiness will have me turning around instantly. Being super loud. Like other people, the restaurant in general, there's some details we're missing. What old video games do still hold up? At least in my opinion, just since I played it relatively recently, Assassin's Creed 2 is pretty good still. Some of the ideas of old in this thread makes my knees hurt. It's hard for me to think of anything with an HDMI out as old. Roller Coaster Tycoon. Banger back then, banger today. Age of Empires 2. Considering people still recommend it, I suppose so. Tetris. It is the perfect game, really. Civilization 2. I don't know if I'd go that far back. I'm more prone to Civ 5, but that's just me. Yoshi's Island. I have Yoshi's Island, but the cartridge is a little broken and I need to fix it so I can play again. Heroes of Might and Magic 3. Burnout 3, without question. They just don't make games like Burnout anymore. Super Mario 3. Love how if you want to pick up and play just a certain world, say Little Big Land, Ice Caverns, or even the Cloud Realm, all you gotta do is grab a couple flutes in the first few levels and go. Portal and Portal 2. Oh yikes, that's kind of gross thinking Portal 2 is old. Ugh. Which historical figure is mistakenly idolized? There are a few I can think of. Optimus Prime wasn't even a real truck. You shut your damn mouth. Don't ever besmirch that hero's name. Jebediah Springfield. The truth shall be revealed about that fake man. Santa. He spies on kids and breaks into people's houses only when they are asleep. Kinda creepy, not gonna lie. Thomas Edison. A lot of American history figures are not the best people. Gandhi is an obvious one. Above all, he was a politician. John Lennon. Learned recently what an a-hole he was. Both him and Yoko. Paradoxically, their son has turned out to be a decent enough man. Columbus, right? I do really wish he never discovered the Americas. What a silly question. Idolization of anyone is a mistake. Idolizing people is a problem in general. Respect accomplishments. Don't idolize anyone. They're just a person too, like you. you. This is actually a really good sentiment, because if you think about it, people in history were just people. They're not these special figures. What's something that screams pretentious? Asks the question, do you know who I am? Hate those fucking assholes. No, I don't fucking, and you don't know me either. A little heated, but I see your point. Having someone take a picture of you giving money to the homeless. If you want to do a good deed, then do a good deed. Don't get someone to film you doing it so you can get brownie points from other people. They keep claiming they know so-and-so famous and wealthy people. I haven't been this upset since my friend Taylor was rudely upstaged by my other friend Kanye, who was defending my best friend Beyonce. Disrespecting people who work in professions you deem to be easy or in the service industry. I dare anybody who does this to go work a rush shift at McDonald's. Go do it. You will not survive properly. Having food with gold leaf on it. If you pay extra for food that just has like gold dye on it basically, you're so dumb. A guy at work used the term cross-functional synergy to describe a group project. To me, that sounds like corporate wording to make people feel excited about doing something different when it's really just boring. Pretentious? Moi? Oh no, I wasn't talking about you, of course not. I am bilingual because I lived in East Germany as a child and my mother spoke German. I got corrected by a coworker for saying Audi wrong. She told me it was pronounced like Audi. She drove an Audi and she insisted I was wrong. Pretentious chick would not just let it go. Edit. I have a mild American Southern accent. In her defense, she probably thought I didn't know better or that I couldn't possibly know better. That's not much of a defense either. Fake accents. I was reading an article about Johnny Depp and it said, not even Johnny Depp knows what he sounds like anymore. I mentioned this to my sister and she said, isn't he British? I'm like, no, he's from Kentucky. He's been playing a drunken pirate for too long, I guess. Gary Oldman told a story about the fact he worked so many jobs playing Americans that he actually lost his accent and had to go to a professional to teach him how to sound like himself again. I think that's pretty funny. That is a pretty big testament to how committed they are to their jobs sometimes. When someone says, you must not have a sophisticated palate if you don't like a food that person likes. If they're saying it for like a joke, then it's fine, but if they're genuinely serious, there's something wrong with them. What should society denormalize? Always needing to be busy with something. Sometimes you just want to do you and relax. Lack of sleep. It damages your body and mind way more than people think it does. I misread the title as a re-normalize, and I thought everyone posting was a psycho, trying to turn every hobby/skill into a business or convincing people to do so. The unfortunate thing is when you turn a hobby into a business, then you stop liking the hobby, and then you're forced to continue it because it's a business. Celebrity culture. Please, for the love of God, I sincerely don't give a single shit about what any out-of-touch pricks did with their cereal, spouse, ex-spouse, or effing toenails. Their toxicity is literally poisoning the well of our society. Overworking yourself. Trust me, it is not a flex to work 80+ hours a week because you are actually just harming yourself. Expecting you to be constantly connected to your phone. I hate all the implicit social rules about text messaging and getting back to people and crap. Oh no, your feelings got hurt because I didn't respond in 2 minutes to your meme? I'm so sorry. It's not like I wasn't, I don't know, busy or something. Food wastage. Lots of stores and restaurants throw out substandard food to maintain a level of quality that makes customers trust them, but it leads to enormous waste. $8 coffee. Yeah, I don't drink that piss. I only drink $9 coffee. What lengths have you went to keep up a lie? I used to sit in my car for hours a day to act like I went out. I was too scared of my parents to tell them I dropped out of college. I eventually got a job and used that as a cover until I had enough to move out. I've spent more than 8 years in the same residence. My neighbors are quite welcoming. Every time they see me go outside, they say hello, especially the wife. Every time she'll wave, say, "Hi, Rebecca," and flash a wide smile. Rebecca is not my name. At this time, it would be too awkward to fix. I simply had to take responsibility for it. I mean, everybody changes their name at one point in time. My partner and I pretended to be vegetarian for 10 years to avoid her aunt's awful cooking. By the end, we were actually vegetarian. None of my family knows how I met my wife. They think I met her in California through a friend out there when I was in the military. We actually met on Tumblr. We've been married almost 10 years. Met my wife on one of those telephone chat dating things in the 90s. Basically, before OkCupid, you would sign up for a voicemail and describe yourself. We connected and went out, but we're both embarrassed for using it. Fast forward 18 years, we continue to tell everyone we met in the music section at Borders. I hate to be the one to tell you this, but the 90s ended more than 18 years ago. Oh, yuck, don't say that. Come on, man. Not me, but when I started as a newspaper journalist 20 years ago, our leader writer was a man called Edward. I only found out when he retired after 45 years with the paper that his name wasn't Edward at all. When he started aged 16, one of the paper's owners showed him around and had misheard his name. He was too nervous to correct the owner, so he went by the wrong name for nearly 50 years. His name is Dudley. Again, see, people change their name for less. I once burnt chocolate chip cookies I was making for a baby shower. In a last-ditch effort, I picked up 24 cookies from McDonald's. My plan wasn't to mention anything to anyone, but one of our close friends was asking about the recipe, and I said it was a McDonald's copycat recipe I found on Pinterest. I quickly found a recipe I'd never tried before and shared it with her. My husband jumped on board and supported me, even though he knew the truth. He even promised to never tell a soul about the McDonald's cookies. It's been about 3 years now, and nothing ever came of it, but it's one lie that he and I joke about every so often. Let's just hope your friends don't see this post, otherwise your goose is cooked. I had to be in 6th grade when one of my teachers threatened to call home. I didn't want to get in trouble, and in like a sarcastic way, I said I don't have a home. I was actually in my dad's custody and didn't really talk much to my mom, so I was just trying to stop them from calling my dad. My teacher actually took that serious, and I had to talk to my school counselor trying to convince him I was homeless and my parents abandoned me. It only took a couple of calls to call out my bullshit, but I guess I took it pretty far. Went on like 2 to 3 days. I married my wife after knowing her for 2 days so she could get her citizenship. Her friend asked me to do a favor, and I was just like, F it, sure. We celebrate 17 years of marriage this year and 2 kids. Best decision I've ever made. But the lie is, when people ask how we met, we say we met through mutual friends, and that's that. I mean, it's not entirely a lie, so it's not the worst. I once wrote and published a children's book to cover up a lie I told to a girl I liked. The sheer amount of effort it took to write a children's book instead of just telling the truth is kind of crazy. Truckers of Reddit, what spooky things did you witness on the road? My wife's grandfather hauled fruit and potatoes across the Northwest and Central Plains. From what he would talk about, I swear he was a serial killer. He had found or been questioned about a half-dozen deaths at rest stops. Most, if not all, were determined suicide. He also talked about all the rich women that drove SUVs and how frequently he would see them masturbating at red lights. Guy was a real character. I do not like this answer. A fresh solo traffic accident. The car was flipped upside down on its roof. The driver's head was halfway out to the neck, through the shattered front window. He did not have a seatbelt on. Was driving my car with my GF down the Jersey Turnpike at night. Up ahead, a large glow. As we got closer, we realized it was an 18-wheeler completely engulfed in flames, stopped in the right lane. Driver nowhere to be seen. Called it in? Don't know what happened to the driver. I once saw a deer under an overpass, but for some reason it was wearing jeans. I'm not so sure that was a deer. My CB radio automatically switched on and crackled for a while as I was driving through an abandoned neighborhood in Baltimore at 3 in the morning. I ain't got no panties on. Some voice on the radio abruptly announced in a thick southern drawl. I could see for miles along the motorway, but I didn't see a single set of headlights. I saw an Audi driver use their indicators. Okay, mate, at least tell believable stories. Oh yeah, what's next? You're gonna tell me a BMW driver was going the speed limit? If you're being forced to operate into exhaustion, the visual hallucinations come on pretty strong. Yeah, doing anything overly exhausted or tired, you're gonna see some weird stuff. I worked nights at a truck stop when I was a teenager, and a Pepsi driver told me a story once. He said he had to drop the rig off at a service shop in Illinois. We are from Indiana. So his wife drove up to get him. On their way home, they were taking the back roads just trying to enjoy each other's company when they saw a bunch of naked people dancing around a fire in some backyard. It wasn't quite dark out yet and put a lot of emphasis on how mad his wife was for him wanting to stop the car to see some. Well, alright, that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you all once again for watching. I love you. My name has been Brandon, and I'll talk to you another day. Bye.